Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the God, just hilarious. We are the Breakfast Club, and we got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
We have Aida Rodriguez.
Hey, I think I am the Latin person. What we call now? Latinx, Latinx.
Latinx, right?
I think I'm the Latin person that's been on the show the most. This is like my 7th time.
Oh, Envy Dominican.
I know he
But
on
no,
the
you don't count
weekends.
him, he's a host.
I am
On the
not
weekend.
Dominican.
Yeah.
I think you and Fat Joe.
Me and
Fat
Fat, well, maybe
Joe.
Fat Joe.
Yeah, you and Fat Joe.
Fat Joe been up here a
I
lot.
mean, Fat Joe is Joey Crack.
You never not working, Ida. New book, Legitimate Kid.
You know what? I was laughing because she said that books are the new diss record.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are.
They are.
And it is, because I'm dissing my mama and daddy in this.
Oh,
Damn.
really? Jesus.
I know that's right.
Jesus.
Different diss.
Okay. I'm holding them accountable, but I'm not never diss my mom. My mom is my queen.
Why'd you call it Legitimate Kid?
Because kids in the hood are evil, and when I was little, a kid told me I was a bastard because I didn't have my father's last name.
Jesus.
And I found out what it meant, and then I felt less than, and so I went on a journey to find my legitimacy. And I want all the little kids that grow up in the hood that hear this, your daddy didn't sign your birth certificate. That doesn't make you legitimate. That term comes from prostitution. It has nothing to do with legitimacy. I mean, with parental presence in your life. It came.
You mean the term bastard?
Yeah, that came. Being a legitimate came from them saying children that were born to prostitutes were not legitimate. But then they weaponized that against people of color, poor people, and so I wanted to find out more about myself because that affected the way I dealt with men. You know, my life as a mom and all that stuff, and so. I want everybody who reads that book to know that they are legitimate.
I know you said something back to the boy though. What was the joke back to the boy? You had something for him.
Nah, you know my joke. When I was a kid, I was meek. When I was little, this didn't happen till this was in elementary. I didn't get gully till middle school when I started, peeping the pro wings. You too young to know what that is.
Okay.
Pro
She
wings
said, okay,
are
yeah,
the
you're right.
sneakers from Payless that the poor people used to wear.
I had some Payless sneakers. They was cool.
Yeah, that was cool when not when we was kids.
Oh,
when we
wow.
was kids, that was food stamps. Right?
You probably had them swagged out though.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I wore the flare legs. Nobody could see that they was Payless shoes. Just the tip. You could see the tip sticking out.
But
Yeah.
Now talk about the journey of finding your dad and finding your history.
So you know what? I went to the Dominican Republic. I did the documentary that's on HBO.
Yep.
And my father, when I met my father asked me for money, and it was
The first question?
It was not the first question, but it was probably like the fourth, and it was very painful because I just met him, and I was really upset with him. I dissed him on stage. It was really he was DL, I was Monique, and it got ugly. I went in, and then I decided to really explore what that meant. And my father lives in the Dominican Republic. He's been poor his whole life. And, I was looking at it from my perspective. I didn't want to hate him.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to. I wanted to find love in my heart for him. So I sat down and started exploring all of this stuff. And I was like, yo, he is poor. His child came from America.
Not the first, fourth question. You want to know about your daughter. Why she
No,
wants to know
I
about me.
know.
Not
I gotta
hey,
know the first 3 questions first. Though.
I know.
Yeah. What were the first 3 questions?
The first thing he asked me about my mom. He asked me how my mom was doing. He cried. He asked me about how things were going for me. He asked me about me, but it was just, I was getting ready to leave because I was only there for 2 days. And he gave me a hug, and then he whispered in my ear, I'm going to need you to give me some money. And I was devastated. I left. I didn't talk to him for a minute. And, they had mics on me because we were recording a documentary. We were in production. And so all those people heard it. And they were like, they felt bad for me.
Yeah.
And
Did you give him money?
I did.
Why did I know she did? I know you did.
What's funny about
How
that,
much
man?
was it?
I'm not gonna say that, but I was paying him to go away. At that moment, I was like, I'ma just, cause I know he's struggling, but I was like, this is it. This is the cheapest amount of money that I'm gonna give away. And then I had to go do some work, some inner work.
Did you learn did you learn to give grace to your parents or just realizing they were just human?
Yes.
Yeah.
My mom, Absolutely. You know, who knows what my daughter and my son are gonna say about me when they,
Facts.
you know what I mean? Like we all think we got it right. You think that because you're not your parents and you're not
right.
struggling like your parents were. That they had the best shoes. You never know what the kids are gonna say. And so I learned my mom had her first kid when she was 14, and I didn't know that. I found out when I was writing the book, and that baby died. And the father of the baby died playing Russian roulette.
What?
So,
wow.
So that was all before I was even born. She was a kid. So I was like, how am I going to sit here and judge my mother? Like, I mean,
The traumas and stuff she was dealing with, you know?
I was born into it. And and it was generational. My grandmother had her first kid when she was 13. My mom was sexually abused at home, so she was trying to get out. You know what I mean? I can't do that to her. And even still with all of that, she raised 4 amazing kids. Like none of us have ever been in trouble. We're all productive. Who does that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ida walked in here and was telling us about an interview she did with Gayle King.
Oh, man.
What did you say Gayle King said to you?
Yeah, she said, girl, you've been through some things. You know what is interesting, though? She read the book. And I did an interview a couple of days ago with somebody who didn't read the book. And when I walked in, they were like, girl, your book's so funny. And I was like,
Oh, my God.
Oh, see?
Damn.
That's why I don't.
Jesus
I just
Christ.
respect people that were like, I didn't read it, so tell me
Yeah.
about it. But
Right.
she was like, you so fun. And I was like, ooh.
It's not that type of book.
Yo, who was that? Who was that?
Nah.
do it.
All right.
Well, when Jess and I walked in,
Off record.
Jess and I walked in, and Charlamagne was looking at the book, and he was very interested in the chapter that said pizza and penis.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the one that he
That
went
wasn't
straight
true.
to.
He went straight to pizza and penis.
Because I wanted to know about Carlos. I heard that was your uncle. I wanted to know what was up with him.
We definitely
But-
talked about Carlos.
Yeah.
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 Ain't nothing about no pizza and
But
penis.
he saw pizza and penis. He didn't even see pizza. He just saw and penis.
not true.
And
That's
he
facts.
was
No,
like, I
that's
need
true.
to ask about this.
That's
we
true.
need to get into
This
it.
is what's funny? It's Gayle King was like that. She was like, I enjoyed this chapter. The chapter is about me getting sexually abused, and so it's
I hope
not.
y'all feel stupid now. I hope
No,
both of y'all feel
no.
dumb as shit.
No,
Y'all thought y'all ate with that one.
I ain't gonna lie.
This is
Yeah, I
good
do
for
feel
you.
stupid. Yeah,
Good,
but shut up.
Good.
All right, go ahead.
Y'all got some good chemistry here. It's I want people to be free. Like I want people who've been through the stuff I've been through to read this and say, I'm gonna be all right. I didn't want to do trauma porn. Like it's not just woe is me, my life has been bad. It's at every turn is me turning around and say, I'm gonna turn this, I'm gonna flip this into this. And this is how those things became jokes.
And you think a comedian can even have material without trauma?
Yes, I think we have a spectrum of comedy, and we need. Sinbad was not trauma driven, and we love Sinbad, and undeniably one of the funniest. He's
Shout to Sinbad too.
clean, he's healing.
He's healing well, yeah.
Yeah, clean comedy. I do think so. We need especially people of color. We can't all be the color purple. Like
Right.
we need some
Right.
levity. We need to have comedians who are lighthearted and do jokes about things. Everybody doesn't have to be deep and that's pretentious. I think some of us we ain't have a Carrot Top. Like Carrot Top is a millionaire in Vegas. We've never had a comedian like that can just be, why we always have to have the burden of walking around being the heaviness. in the
Yeah.
room.
But it's because we black and brown. Like
No,
it's a
no.
certain privilege that comes with being a
Of
carrot top.
course.
You know?
Yeah, but we need one. We need somebody walking around with props and shit. Just,
I wonder if Kevin is the closest thing we got to carrot top.
Kevin Hart?
No. Have you ever been on a Carrot Top show?
No.
Oh.
Why would I go to a
How you
carrot
gonna
top
go compare
show?
him to Kevin Hart? Because Kevin Hart talks about his experiences, his
He does,
life
he
as well.
does. I'm just talking about like
mad.
Yeah,
You got mad. You were like, how you gonna compare Kevin?
he got kicked out of a Kevin Hart show. He ever tell you that story?
Oh, no, I didn't know
Kevin
that.
kicked his dumb ass out because he recorded. He pulling out his
I
phone.
was not recording.
Yes, he was.
But did you get kicked out?
I did get kicked out.
Okay.
I was
He was
Kevin,
trying to bootleg the show.
It was not. It's not true. It was actually in Philly.
Okay.
Kevin was performing. My phone started to ring. So they tell you in those shows, do not pull your phone out. But when you got kids, when your phone rings, you pick it up.
Yeah.
So I went to try to pick it up like kind of on the low, but the light is bright. Sure did kick my ass out.
Good.
Yeah.
And Kevin see me getting kicked out too. It was like, NBC later.
Oh,
right.
wow.
That's right. I have no problem with that. None whatsoever.
Wow.
Now talk to us about how junkies and prostitutes assisted your mom.
My mom, was the person she was dating at the time beat her. She was pregnant, and he left her for dead in the park, in Central Park. She was 9 months pregnant, and it was the junkies and the prostitutes that were around who took her to the hospital and saved her life. So she's my mother is not a respecter of persons. She lives that Bible life. Like, she feeds anybody. She's so wounded, but she'll never forget. She does not look down on anybody. And so we were never allowed to do that. We could never make fun of somebody because, whatever it was. She'd be like, don't do that. She will always say it was the prostitutes and the junkies. That's what they called them, not the people. And she was like, those are the people who saved your brother's life. And so we were raised to just, that's how we all are.
Treat everybody with respect.
Ida, when this becomes a movie or a miniseries, is it going to be a dramedy or a horror movie? What the hell?
Nah, it's a dramedy. I'm developing a TV show now. No, it's going to be a dramedy. We gotta laugh at. We gotta laugh at it.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to write this?
It was hard as hell.
And how long did it take?
Because I wrote my own book. There's no ghostwriter. So the thing is, it took me 2.5 years, but I've been working on that book for 7 years. But like you say, you're gonna write a book, and you think, because you got the ideas and you got the stories, but when you start writing them down, and that editor is like, I need 80,000 words.
That's right.
It becomes a whole different. You like, damn, I could just tell you when you write the story down. It's 2 pages. You're like, that's it. I got it. But now you got to go in and you got to details and it was one of the hardest things I ever did. One of the greatest lessons for me, not to take anything for granted, because these authors have been real snobby towards me. Like, even people of color that I've reached out to and I've been posting about their books, and they all been kind of greasy with me. And it's because I'm a comedian stepping into their world, and they're like, here goes another one. They're gonna do a book, and then they're gonna bounce. And I was like, no, I've been writing my whole life. My stand-up is writing. My TV shows are writing. This book is writing. The movies I've written, I'm a real writer. And I don't need y'all validation because y'all goofy for that. But I understand that, they do this all day long, and then celebrities will come in, do books, they do the press, and then they out. They're like, that's just one more notch on their belt. They don't really assume the role of author. Where I could write books until I die. Like, I would like to.
Was it good therapy or bad therapy? Because you had to relive a lot of the stuff, I'm sure, trauma that you had since a kid. So sometimes you push it out of your brain so you don't have to think about it. But when you're writing a book, you got to dive deep into it. It can't just be like 2 pages like you said.
It was traumatic to relive it, but I needed to do it so I could heal. Like, I needed to forgive so I could move on. Because you know what? That's the thing about forgiveness. It's for you. Right? You think it's for the other person. I ain't forgiving them. What do they say? Revenge is like drinking poison and hoping the enemy dies. I needed to forgive these people, like all of them. My stepfather, the one who got his ass whooped on the bus stop for being racist. Like, I needed to just let it go. And I want somebody else to read it and also let it go. Like, your life can be so great when you forgive somebody. That doesn't mean you got to hang out with them.
Right.
You don't have to forget. I choose to forget. But it's freedom.
I'm realizing forgiveness isn't linear though.
No, it's not.
Because you gotta remind yourself, okay, I forgave him.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta and you gotta accept it. Acceptance is probably one of the hardest things we deal with. People always say, love yourself, love yourself. You can love yourself. Acceptance is where we thrive, right? Being able to say, I'm okay with the fact that I'm never going to be a size 2 again. You know what I mean? Like, that is freedom for me. Yeah. Instead of, love is beautiful, but love, what Tina Turner said, what's love got to do with it? I think acceptance has been the greatest journey for me. And yeah, I forgave them people.
What did writing the book teach you about illegitimacy?
That illegitimacy and those feelings of not feeling invalidated are crippling for most people. We all battle with it, whether it's because you dark skin or you don't speak English, you got an accent, you're in a wheelchair. Like, we all struggle with it. And they can give it a term for every single sector of it, but the truth is that we all battle with it, and we cannot give it to somebody else to declare it for us. We cannot. That's my favorite scene in Jerry Maguire, was when Regina King looked Cuba Gooding in the eye and said, we validate our worth. And that was like the most powerful thing I had seen at that age, because I was much younger. You got to validate your own worth. In comedy, People are always saying who they think is funny, who is great, you cannot let anybody else tell you who you are. Because if you give them the power to feed you, you give them the power to starve you.
That's right.
That validation has to come from within.
I was going to ask, one of the producers after reading the book was like, she has to hate all men. Like, damn near all men did her dirty in this book. So how do you feel about men after, them going through the process of a lot of men that did you dirty, a lot of men that were foul to you?
Well, if you read the book, then you would see that I adore my uncles. My uncle Carlos passed away, and my uncle Raymond. My uncles raised me. My uncles together, they were a transformer. They all got together, and they became the father that I needed. And they used to be hustlers. They were on the streets, but they have always been my heroes. I love men so much. I made a great one. My son is an amazing human being.
Amazing.
And I don't hate men. And I hate that the rhetoric, like all of this stuff that goes on social media with men and women, it is so toxic and unnecessary. It's just divide and conquer just keeps getting deeper and deeper in terms of what happens with our communities. I uphold men and I hold them accountable, but I hold women accountable too. I'm not basic, so I don't delve in that. Men ain't, it's some men that are trash. It's a bunch of women that are trash too. It's some non-binary people that are trash.
Yeah, right.
So everybody gets it, so I don't hate men.
Yeah.
I think another thing people will learn from is like, growing up without your father's last name.
Yeah.
How did you feel after your mom told you why?
I felt worse because she gave it to me so casually. She was so like cavalier about it, but it was because that was what she knew. She grew up, she didn't have her father's last name. It was like, it just means you don't have your dad's last name. Like, it's all good. For me, it was a stamp that it made me a victim to, I thought in my head, that means I'm going to get mistreated. People know my father is not around, because my idea of a daddy was protection,
Provide.
Exactly. You're very good. You. I don't know if you are in real life, but on social media, you're a great guy.
I am.
I'm just messing with you.
No, because people allow social media.
But
That's
you
real.
know what I'm saying.
No,
people do it off of the. But
I know some
idea.
Instagram daddies. Some FaceTime fathers. That's what I call them, FaceTime
Man, I
fathers.
don't.
No, I'm
they better
serious
be
about
glad
mine,
I ain't
though.
messy, because I can put some people on.
Right.
I know some stories, but
Yeah.
the thing was that I thought that because that's what I thought a father was, it made me feel vulnerable. Like, I was like, now anybody can do anything to me, whatever. And it wasn't true. My grandmother was walking around with that gun, making sure that she protected us.
Aida, man, your story is crazy.
It is.
even having your mom is a hoe, like.
Oh yeah, because you know what? That's what kids would do when they see your mom in the in the hood. Everything is fair game.
Oh, I
There's
know.
no when you playing them dozens, those kids will be like, "That's why your pappy got cancer." Like, the kids are evil.
Where we was from, it
evil.
was crackhead son. Like, if you was a child, if your daddy was a crackhead, your mom was crackhead son, crackhead daughter.
Yeah, that's how we process the pain. That's how we deal with it. And when somebody said that mama, the creepiest thing about the whole thing was that the lady who said my mama was a hoe was the biggest hoe on the block. Like,
That's how I usually do.
and she was talking about my mom because she thought that because her kids had the same father and we didn't, that she was better than my mom. And I was like, how sad. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, what a sad existence that's where you pop your collar. Not something you did positive in the world, but my kids got the same daddy and they got their father's last name. So I'm better than you. And I was like, nah. That's when I started snapping. I was like, no, she's a hoe.
Do you believe in people being hoes?
What?
Do you believe in people being hoes?
Oh.
Well, it depends on who you allow. I mean, I always told my daughter, you determine your hoe. Don't you let the streets do it.
Yeah.
You know what your threshold is. If we start allowing, that's very patriarchal. That's where it's rooted in. And men get to call women hoes all day long and assess their value while they out there hoeing.
That's right.
Spreading
As well.
diseases, doing all kinds of stuff. Not all men, but y'all know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. So do I believe in the concept of hoe? I think it's nuanced. Do we perpetuate some of that stuff? If we telling little girls that if you don't let nobody take your goods if they're not giving you money, because we like to uphold that rhetoric.
Yeah.
And then, but that is why little girls volunteer for cartels on the border and say, I want to work because I want to have, Gucci or whatever. So there's a fine line. We need to have honest conversations about that. The terminology of hoe is something I rebuke because it comes from toxic men when they are telling women that they're hoes. are you willing to turn the camera onto yourself
That's
and
right.
call yourself a hoe? Because your value doesn't drop in society like ours does. But I don't know. I mean, we all had our moments where we were a little more playful and then our moments where we were a little more dedicated and serious, and we should be able to do that, right?
Yeah, I believe in the concept of hoeing if it goes both ways. If you're gonna call the guy the hoe for the nasty, and we do it. Like we know some nasty
Men hoes?
yes, some nasty dick.
We do too.
Yeah.
You know, so if it goes both ways, I believe in the concept. But if you only just saying that to a woman, I don't respect
I mean, I respect that, and if that's what, all things have to be fair. They love to count women's partners. You'll say, "Oh, she was with such and such."
Yeah,
but then but then you see the dudes, and you're like, "But damn, like he's been with everybody."
Yeah.
You know?
But he gets praised for that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like,
uh-huh.
oh, you had that, you had her, and then it's like, dang, you mess with him, and him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
And I don't know, like, do you use condoms with everybody? Like it's we do. Yeah, so I think that if you're gonna use hoes, let it be across the board. But if you only use
You sing that hoes out too. You can use hoes.
I like that.
You sing that one out.
because we use it. I mean, I'm not come up here and act like I'm pious, like I'm some.
Right.
We don't do that. We be calling people hoes too,
All the
but we
time.
talk about dudes like we talk about women. Like
Yeah.
we not just sitting here. Women love to do that too, because women. They have socialized us to hate each other. So when we love to call other women, I'm not like that. Yes, you are. You've had your moments.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
And also the other thing about the hoeing, nobody would know who's doing what if everybody would just shut the fuck up. Like, how do you even find out a person is a hoe?
Yeah.
Who's the one is every guy saying that they slept with this woman?
but like,
is the
You
woman
a
telling
man.
everybody?
Yeah, you've been there before, probably in your younger South
I don't
Carolina
be believing
days.
most of these guys though.
Yeah.
You gotta be lying. Like,
Yeah.
They
guys
do.
be like, oh, she a hoe, and I be like, oh, you hit? No. So how you know?
My man told her.
Yeah,
that,
my
you know
partner
what I'm saying?
said.
Yeah, it's talked about.
Yeah,
But
everybody just need to shut up.
The thing is that, like, do you really care? Like, honestly, the thing about social media that's really been, my management is always like, you're really terrible at social media. And I am. But I'll say this, like, I'm always watching people, like the people who are like, I'm letting the haters know. Nobody cares. Like the people who are like, I'll show them. Who you showing?
Yeah.
The people
It's
will
facts.
look at it, they'll comment, they'll talk about it, then they move on to the
To the
next
next thing, yep.
Because they're consuming it like Doritos. They don't care. You put so much effort into shutting your haters down.
Yeah.
God bless James Hanna, a brilliant comedian who passed away. He used to say, people of color's haters are their imaginary friends. Because he was like, they don't exist.
That's right.
He was like, it's we put so much weight on that.
Yeah.
Do you really care? If some I don't care who's a hoe. Like they talk about J-Lo all the time, and I'm like, how does that affect my food? Like, how does that affect my mama? I don't
Right.
give a damn. Like it's for a minute and then you move on. So just remember, when you are directing all that energy to the people who you really think you're shutting down, they don't care. Nobody cares.
That's right. Now it's almost the holidays. These memoirs cause problems.
Oh yeah.
How does your family feel about you revealing so much in the book?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the only people who read the book so far are my aunt and uncle, the normal ones that are in D.C. Because half of my family is in Florida and the other half is in like the D.C., Virginia area, in the DMV.
Okay, ZMV.
Yeah, they the normal ones. So they're cool. They all right. I'm gonna sit with my mom and go through the book because I want to make sure that my mom is in. Yeah, I can't. I don't ever want to demonize her. So I want her to understand where that came from. And I'm going to read the back first with her because, I give her grace throughout the book. But I want her to know that she's still the queen.
Wow.
Are you dreading that conversation?
Still good.
It needs to be had. She still has to be accountable. She was still my mom. Like I still did. I still went through a lot of stuff in life, as a kid. And she should, she said to me, I'm so sorry for the things that I put you through. I was a kid. But I think it's a necessary conversation for us to heal. She needs to forgive her mother. She's still holding on to things about and my grandmother's dead. I'm like, bro, you gotta let it go. Like she's gone, and you have to move on.
I don't think there's too many things that are more freeing than an apology from your parents.
I got it. I got it.
That's why I say I apologize now as a father to my young kids, just because I know how it felt to never hear that from a parent you feel like might have did you dirty.
Yeah, and amnesia. Like my mom used to beat my ass, and now when I talk about it, she's like, "I never hit you," and I'm like,
Wow.
"What? This is revisionist history at its best." She used to beat my. I mean, she fractured my ankle. I wrote an essay in there. She did. My mother was, because my mom got hit with an extension cord.
Me too.
So she felt like because she hit us with a belt that it wasn't
As bad as the extension cord.
and it wasn't. But I was like, yo, and that switch, my grandmother, we used to, and
Had to
so
go pick it.
that's a people of color thing. In Spanish, it's called la varita, and it'd be like, and she'll go get vete busca tu varita, go get your switch. And there was no winning in that. There was not a switch that didn't hurt, that didn't exist. Yeah, you know.
Jesus. All right, well, the book is out right now. Make sure you get it. We
Legitimate
appreciate you for
Kid.
joining us.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all.
All
What
right.
else you got coming up, Ida? 'Cause you always working.
So I'm directing another special, a comedy special. I'm trying to direct as many women of color comedy special because I want them to get out. Marcellus did really well on HBO. I'm doing one with Gina Brion. I'm shooting her special in December, and I'm developing 2 TV shows because I want to not just work, but I want to be surrounded by people who look like me, sound like me. You know, people of color, Black people, and I want to put some people to work.
There you go.
So I'm developing the shows right now, and I'm getting ready to direct this special.
Dope.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, it's Aida Rodriguez.
Go get Legitimate Kid right now.
And it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
And the book is not funny, dummy.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.